A few years ago, I was a young girl at the University of Agriculture and I had to travel from Makodi to Boko to get some of my sister's items that she had left in school. I remember it was a mattress and a cupboard. And I got to the school that Sunday afternoon, hoping that, in the next 1 hour, 2 hours, I would leave Boko back to Makodi. But unfortunately for me, I spent almost the entire day there. And by the time I was getting back that day, it was night. I got to Wurukum roundabout and I realized that I could not get the usual means that we use back to where I was coming from. So I waited for a while and then a bike guy came and asked me to get on. I got on. He placed the cupboard behind me, placed the mattress in front of him, and I was sitting very close to him. But I realized that when we started moving, at some point, he started rubbing his back against my chest. He kept rubbing his back on my chest, and I remember sitting on that bike and asking myself what exactly is happening to me. I remember being so scared. I remember being angry but unable to speak because we were on a lonely road. No street lights, people were no longer on the street. I was wondering, if I say what to this man, what if he stops this bike and does something more than this to me? And I remember trying to put my hand in between my chest and his back to protect me from, but it was not working. I mean, the cupboard was already pressing me enough. But I managed until I got to my destination. I got down from the bike and I remember paying him his money and he was trying to say something about change and I screamed at him. And he was like, now where I don't bring you come your house, you don't get mouth to talk to me now. This experience has stayed with me for a really long time. And at some point, I did not know how to name it. I did not know because, he did not use his hand to touch me. He did not do anything to me. It was just that act of consistently rubbing his back on my chest and moving. You are driving a bike. Why is your back moving against my chest? I remember getting to my room that night and crying bitterly from anger, from not being able to say a word to him. And the first time I ever really spoke about this, I had spoken to a friend and I was telling her that, somebody had done this to me some time ago. And she said, that is sexual assault. And I'm like, but he did not rape me. He did not touch me. He just used it. And she was like, that is sexual assault. And she explained to me in details. This is one example of a lot of other experiences that I as a person have had with respect to sexual assault, from me being barely 10 years old and somebody escaping a near rape experience because I wanted to get storybook from a neighbor. Is a lot. And today I brought my amazing friend and sister, Peace Agada, to talk about sexual assault. The month of April was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and today there is no other person than the incredible Peace Agada, the founder of
Community for Sexual Abuse Prevention, Advocacy and Response.
Yes, Peace Agada is that very passionate individual who has been talking about sexual abuse since we left the university. And I just want to know, Peace, you do incredible work. You do so much work when it comes to issues around abuse. How do you cope with the burden of this work?
That's a very powerful question. It's not been easy coping with all of this because in the course of my work, I hear terrible stories. I thought that I have seen cases, I have heard cases, but the cases are new every morning. Their depth, it's so horrible and it's not been easy. I don't even know how I'm coping. I just take it one day at a time. Some nights I cry, some days I just sigh. You just sigh.
Right.
There are no words. Some of the things that you hear, there are no words to describe it. And I don't know how, that's the truth. I don't know how I managed to walk through. There was a time that I said, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah. And I was now looking for comfort in my friends. I'm the person who goes about listening to these people and giving them comfort. It got to a point I had to pause and take care of my mental health. Yeah. So I can't say I'm coping. I'm just managing and working through it day by day.
Yeah, but what motivated you to start?
In 2019, I was a school teacher.
Yeah.
I was teaching kindergarten, those little children below the age of 3. So I even had a child that was 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 6 months in my class.
Yeah.
And that was the period we started hearing about this Ochaya's case. a left, right, center, left, right, center. And I felt like I have had my own fair share of sexual abuse, sexual harassment, just like you have. And I know what that did to me, what it is doing to me even now, because it's an experience that it stays with you for years. You just keep dealing with it. And I thought to myself, there's a very huge, big possibility that these children in my classroom are being sexually molested. You can't tell.
You can't tell.
But there's something I can do. I'm a school teacher. I have these children under my care. When I was younger, I didn't know anything about this. Nobody told me anything about sex education. In fact, when I started seeing my period, the only sex education I had was if man taught you now.
Bele don't enter.
I believe in that too. So that was the kind of sex education I had. And I felt like I'm in the position to do something. And so I did a survey. I started asking my friends. I said, have you experienced anything like this? And I started asking male, female. I asked my neighbors' children, adults, all those ones that are, we talk, acquaintances. I asked everybody I could ask. And it was just one person that have not had any case of sexual molestation, just one. So all the people in my corner, my classmates, the ones I asked, my neighbors, everybody I asked had experienced one form of sexual abuse or the other. Just one person said, and he's a guy, said, no, I've not. But every other person, male, female. And I said, what? It's not just me. This is happening. Elderly people, young people. And I said, I'm a school teacher. And there's something I can do, if not for anything, for the ones that are under my care. And then I started organizing sexual abuse seminars. And when I started, I didn't even start from my school. I started from another school. And just like that, I started moving from school to school, and here we are.
Considering how prevalent the issue of sexual assault is, why do you think it's still a difficult conversation to have?
Yes, it is still a difficult conversation, and it's still going to be a difficult conversation, for so many people, and it's going to continue for a long time. The reason is that we still have stigma. People are still being stigmatized when they talk about sexual assault, what happened to them. And for the people who have spoken up, we've seen the patterns. They don't get justice. It just gets thrown under the carpet. So there's a lot of dynamics that come to play when people speak up about sexual abuse. For example, your abuser is your uncle, and you live in your uncle's house. So many things are there that even if you talk to an advocate, you may lose your education. Do you get what I'm saying? So a lot of dynamics, a lot of things can go wrong, and people are not willing, they don't have the courage to stand to see what the aftermath would look like. And so they just shrink, and they feel like denial, silence is the safest, option. And that's because when people disclose abuse, we know what happens next. And this is why people still find it difficult to talk about sexual abuse. Let me give you one very practical example. One seminar we held last year, this young girl, she's 15 years old, she was raped by a soldier. And she disclosed this, and she was treated. The parents, they took her to the hospital and all of that. The school was aware. Something that happens in the neighborhood, the news just flies like wildfire, fire. And so when this news got out in school, nobody wants to sit with her. They started calling her by the man's name. Can you imagine? So it's normal. It's normal. You see abuse within the family and say, let's protect our family name. When this kind of thing goes out, either your father touched you, something like that. This is why people don't talk about sexual abuse, because they don't know what's going to happen else. And usually it turns around and it becomes very harmful to the victim. And that's why people don't want to talk. Adults don't want to talk. Children don't want to talk, because they don't know what will become of it.
I think I agree with you very well. So remember when I was talking about being almost 10 and a neighbor tried having his way with me? I remember that as a child, I used to be very drawn to storybook. We moved from Apo to Masaka because of demolition. So I was new to the place, and I had just seen a shelf in their parlor. And every day I would say, oh, uncle, please, now I want to get storybooks from your shelf. And he would say, oh, don't worry, I'll give you, just wait. And he kept postponing it. I kept saying, oh, give me. And he kept postponing. And I was the one begging for this storybook, not knowing that I was begging for my destruction. And the day he said, "Oh, okay, Mercy, come into the room. Come and take the storybook." And I walked inside the room, and I'm walking towards the place where the shelf is placed, and he picks me from the floor and flings me on the chair, pins my hand there, and starts unbuckling his belt. And I'm there and I'm screaming, and somebody knocks at the door, and I remember just jumping from the chair and running outside, going to a neighbor's, a tailor's place in front. And he had the audacity to walk from the house to me at the shop to say, "If I ever see your leg inside our house again, what I'm going to do to you." And I'm now wondering, okay,
from where to where?
What have I done wrong? Like, so I feel like I saw, I was making content the other day for, this issue, and they were saying that victims should not be shamed.
Yeah.
Abusers should be shamed, because I feel like more abusers have courage than victims.
It's because our silence have given them so much power. That person knows that nothing will be done. Nothing will be done. And, see, it's so easy to twist a story. When we think about, a lot of people, when we think about sexual abuse, we think about rape,
Yeah.
But the circumstances around it is not something that you can easily explain.
Yeah.
Just like what you've said, during the Break the Circle campaign last year, Break the Circle campaign is a campaign I started last year so that survivors can share their story. And somebody reached out to me to say that she went to visit this spiritual mentor in his house, in his family's house. The mother was in the room, the brothers were in the room, but she was in the sitting room with this man. And that was where the whole situation happened. And so he didn't get his, he did get his way, because, she said she had pains, and so, but she just couldn't explain what happened. But there were people in the house. And so when she came out, I asked her, have you spoken to someone? She said, "I don't even know what to tell them. Like, I don't know what to tell
what
them."
Do you say?
There were people in the house. I don't know how to explain myself, because she said she doesn't know how to explain that. But there are people in the house. The mother was there. The brother was. How can you say somebody raped you in the parlor? So many, the circumstances sometimes, if you put one and one together, it's not, the math is not mathing.
Yeah,
and so this is why, and let me tell you, the abuser has calculated. You are the victim, so you don't know. The abuser knows when you go to work, when you close, knows what you love. You love books. The abuser knows where the pain is, and so you capitalize on that.
Thank you very much. Do you think we overflog the issue of rape? Because whenever there are campaigns online and people are talking about assault and all of this, it feels like we are overflogging it. Do you think that we are calling men out too much? Because when the conversation tilts from somebody has been molested and somebody has been abused to not all men, to stop saying not all men but always a man, or why are you guys, when it's a woman now, all of you will be out, but when it's a man, nobody speaks up. Meanwhile, the men are refusing to speak up. So are we overflogging the issue, or is it really a problem that we need to address?
I do not think that we are overflogging the issue. I think we need to even speak more about it. See, numbers don't lie. Right. Anytime we talk about sexual abuse, usually the men feel attacked. If they feel like we are attacking them. But look at the statistics. 1 in 4 girls get sexually molested, experience one form of sexual abuse before they become 18. That's a very troubling statistic. And when you compare that with the statistic with the boys,
right?
So 1 in 4 girls, that's a lot.
Yeah,
that's a lot. It means that when 4 girls are seated, there's a probability that one of them has experienced sex. So we are not overflogging it, and it's not an attack on men.
Right.
And the men needs to get that. I think that the men are not actually listening to the issue. So if women are always saying, "Oh, rape, assault, you people are molesting us," why don't you sit with yourself and ask, what is actually the problem? This issue is not about men. We are trying to say that we do not feel safe.
Right.
We are trying to say that people look at us and just see us as an object.
Yeah.
Something that gives somebody pleasure.
Yeah.
You want to punish a woman, you think about sexual abuse. That kind of a thing. So this is what we are talking about. We're talking about safety. We are talking about inhumanity. That's what that's what this is about. Yeah. It's not about men. And sometimes I feel like it's guilt. It's guilt. If you look at it critically, maybe guilt, collective guilt that my gender, we are making life unbearable for these people, to live, or they themselves, they have done something to maybe knowingly, unknowingly. See, in this work, I've met people, I've seen things. Also during the last campaign, somebody reached out anonymously to say that until I saw one of your videos, I didn't know that if a young girl, a teenage girl, throws herself at me and I take advantage of her, I did anything wrong. I mean, she was flaunting her body. She was throwing herself at me, so, free food, free food. And she said until that time, he always, he doesn't think that he will ever be in that category of perpetrators. But watching that video, say, oh, I've done this to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Are you getting? So sometimes it's guilt that collective.
Is it really true that that statement he made, are you really sure that thing is true, that a grown man would not know that if a teenager is flaunting herself at him, he should not take advantage of her?
Yes, people feel like if that's why when you hear cases of rape, you say, oh, she was not dressed properly. What took her to the house?
Yeah.
Why is she there at that time of the night?
Yeah.
All of those kind of questions, because I feel like you wanted it.
Right.
Or you were loose, so anything that happens to you, but they're not looking at indiscipline. They're not looking at all of that thing. That's inhumanity, that's wickedness, that's crime against humanity. Yeah. So it's not that we are attacking the men, we are calling their attention to say, oh, we do not feel safe. This is wickedness. This is not good. This is not healthy. We should not have a society where you can just grab a child and sleep with her.
Yeah.
Or a girl and sleep with her. It goes both ways.
Yes,
but
both men.
But we are always calling the men out because of the numbers, the statistics. This thing is rampant. If people begin to say all of their experiences, you will see that we need to revisit the statistics, because I personally think it's more than that.
Thank you very much for this insight, Peace Agada. You are the woman for this job.
Thank you.
Yeah. So what would you say, what should support look like for victims of assault? Also, what should a rape victim do the moment, I mean, we're trying to eradicate it, but it's still happening. So if somebody has been raped, what action should they take to prevent themselves from pregnancy and also infection, all of those things, viruses?
Yes, if you get raped, please, I know it's a very difficult situation. You want to keep to yourself. Usually rape victims do not speak up immediately, but a doctor is somebody you should talk to. Don't keep it away from. You have to go to the hospital. Even if you don't tell anybody, please go to the hospital, because when you get to the hospital, they know what to do. They know what medication to give you to make sure that you do not contract any STI. And there's a drug they give, is called post-exposure prophylaxis, PEP. When you get to the hospital, they will give you that. And you need to go to the hospital within the next 72 hours after the incident. So even if you're not ready to speak up, please go to the hospital and get treated. And going to the hospital is also going to help, especially when you want to report. You have a medical report, and that can strengthen your case. And if it's possible, keep evidence, like your clothing, anything that can serve as evidence or as proof, because it's very difficult. Like I said initially, the circumstances that these things happened is like super story most of the time. So anything that you can keep as evidence, that would be great. But please go to the hospital. And for support, if somebody comes to you and say, oh, I've been sexually abused, that person did not just randomly pick you. Please be confidential about it. Show concern, show care. If the person does not want you to, report, but that person needs you to give emotional support at that point, please do your best to give that person emotional support. And I also think that what we can do better to support victims is that we hold the perpetrators to to just hold them accountable.
Yeah.
That is the best support you can give to somebody who has been violated.
Amazing.
Go to the police, report that person, because that is why we'll keep talking about sexual abuse, because we do not want to report. We want to be, like I said, we don't want to face all of that, and so we just go to the hospital. And this is what gives these abusers power. Report that person, go to the station, report the person. If it's in your office, go to HR, report that person. And make sure that that person faces the wrath of the law.
Amazing.
Not village chairman and village chiefs, all of those kind of things. Yes, because it's a thing. No?
Right,
it is. It's a thing. So please, if somebody comes to you and say, oh, this is what happened to me, take the person to the hospital. You know, find the person, get therapy. Sometimes we cannot afford therapy, but our pastors' wives, they do great job. You know,
If you see that your pastor's wife is somebody you can talk to.
Yes, we need that. We need to give people that support, that to show that they are not alone, so they don't lose their mind.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Peace Agada. This has been very insightful. I just want to say that these conversations are not overflogged. It took me speaking to Peace and coming to terms with some of those experiences that I shared earlier to know that, you know, it had some negative effect on me. It was why I did not like to take favors from guys. It was why when people say they go into a room and they tilt towards guys, when ladies say they go into a room and they would easily say hello to a guy because they know that the guy will not snub them. When I go into a room, I say hello to ladies. It's very difficult for me to make male friends. I didn't want to have anything to do with them. It took that conversation with her to realize that, oh, this thing actually affected you more than you thought it did. So please, it's very important that we are in tune with what is happening around us. And I do hope that instead of offering remedy to problems that can be avoided, we all, you know, men, women, we all learn to train ourselves. Everybody feels desire for sexual whatever, but imagine that we are all on the street grabbing people and holding people by their bust and by their manhood because we want to relieve whatever it is that is going on in our mind. Then the world, just imagine your streets now. You come out every morning, I grab you, you grab me. Tomorrow, it's insanity. So please, we need to work on it and we need to fix it. Any word of advice for anybody who is probably going through this?
Okay, there's a favorite Bible verse, and that's what I will give you when I go out to do sexual abuse seminars. I always say, Jesus has told us in His Word, say, "Come to me, all you who are, you know, heavy laden, and I'm going to give you rest." Please go to Jesus. He's going to give you rest. If you permit me, I'd love to say one more thing. This issue, like I said, is still going to stay around, but there's something every one of us can do. All of us, we have influence in one way or the other. If you're a mom, you have influence on your children. You're a school teacher, you have influence on your students. Every one of us have influence, no matter where we are, whatever status we have influence. Please make use of that and make sure that your space there is safe for everybody. Put safeguarding rules there. Make sure that children are safe, women are safe. In your office, be that staff that influencing safeguarding principles in the office. Be that staff and play your part. It's everybody's business. Play your part. Make use of your influence and make sure that people are safe around you, in your home, in your school, in your office. People are safe, genuinely safe.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Peace Agada. I've been looking forward to have you, to have this conversation. I'm so glad that we've been able to do it. So thank you all for tuning into the Self-Series with Wildflower this episode. If you would love to share, any experience that you've had with respect to sexual assault, please feel free. You can do it anonymously. You can send a DM. You can leave a comment if you want us to reach out to you. My friend here does a lot of amazing work in that regard, and we'll be very excited to offer whatever support that we can offer. Listening ear, connection to maybe people like NAPTIP that can offer you some form of support. We're very happy to help you. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you once again for coming, Peace Agada. I look forward to having you at another time to discuss more, go in depth, and save the world.
Thank you.
You're doing incredible work, and I'm so proud of you. I hope you never forget. Alrighty, bye for now.
I'm not what happened to me. Not the moment, not the mark. I am more than sun behind my skin. I plant the truth and grow within. And now what happened to me?